Coming up on today's show, we are giving you a COVID-19 update. We're talking vaccinations and how to keep our children safe as they enter back to school. You don't want to miss it. Hello, darlings, and welcome to Wake Up Well. I am your host, Portia Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm super excited about this episode because we have not done a show like this in quite some time. If you all remember all of the ones that have been with us for a year, you know that we started this show off as a COVID-19 update in the midst of the pandemic. And then because we felt like you were getting COVID-19 out and tired, we changed it a little bit. But today, I think it's so important that we bring that update back this day as the Delta variant is running rampant, as we're getting information from so many different sources, questions about vaccines, kids are going back to school, what do we do and how to do it? So I think this is such an important topic. And you know, here on Wake Up Well, we are all about wellness for your mind, body, and your soul. And one of the things we want to make sure is that we're bringing you up-to-date information. We have incredible special guests today that I'm super excited about. Hello, darling. Hey, Jasmine. I saw you come up, but I want to first, you all know I am never alone. I am always with my co-host, our resident mental health hygienist, Marty Sellers.
Hello, darling. How are you?
Hello, darling. How are you? Listen.
Doing well. Okay, wait a minute. You're giving us a new look on the show today.
Oh, my hair.
Yes,
my braids?
your braids.
Marty, let me tell you the reason why I had braids. You guys know I went to St. Lucia 2 weeks ago. And I went to St. Lucia looking real cute. I had my hair pressed out. You know, I usually wear it natural. I went and got my hair pressed out. I went to St. Lucia and they had humidity that was straight from hell because it blew my hair completely up. You hear me? So I had to pull it back in a ponytail. And then when we came back, I was rocking the ponytail and I never did anything with it. And I was like, girl, listen, you got a whole production company, a whole media company where you are online with people and you can't be looking raggedy. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and go get my hair done.
Thank you for representing.
Thank you for being so observant. I'm telling you.
Representing our Black beautiful queens. I appreciate you, co-host. But how you doing? How you doing, darling? What's going on with you?
Listen, Marty, no, I usually ask you what you're grateful for. So listen, we got people in. I want to make sure that you guys know we always ask, what are you grateful for on this show? We don't start any show off without that. So let us know in the comments, what are you grateful for? I'm going to go first because I usually tell Marty, let me tell you, if you wondering why this melanin is sparkling and glowing, look at that. You look stunning, darling. Thank you, love. Listen, I am so excited. Let me tell you, I'm not even here right now. I am out of this world. So today, our church, my husband and I, we serve a community here in Tucker, Georgia, and we just celebrated our 3rd year church anniversary, and that was amazing. But the icing on the cake is that my husband and I had the opportunity to baptize our 14-year-olds and our 7-year-olds.
Wow.
And I'm telling you, there is nothing like it. And not to mention, my daddy got baptized. So you guys know, if you're in the Tucker area, come join us. Because listen, my parents come to the church. My children want to be baptized in that church. It's a church that you want to be at. So I'm
Tucker
overjoyed.
Even still standing? Because
by
the time I show y'all toe up the town.
Hi, Felicia. Hello, darling. Hello, King Joseph. Where have you been, darling? We haven't seen you in a couple of weeks, but thank you for showing up. Val, hello, darling. Thank you so much for joining. Let me tell you, Val was there. Raymond, Ray got baptized. We had some spontaneous baptisms. 11 people. I'm telling you, I am not even here.
Y'all gonna make a shout out here in Cali. Don't play. Because you say Jesus about 3 times, I'm going in.
Hey, Trisha. Hello, darling. Thank you so much. So that is, you guys, that is what I'm
Yeah.
grateful for.
Yes.
I serve people all the time with whether it's in ministry, whether it's the
Hey,
shows that I
Val.
do, whether it's, in my business and just one-on-one. I'm always serving people. But today I got the chance to serve my family. And that is my first ministry. That is my first
Yes.
love. And
Yes.
so I'm so excited. Godfrey,
Yes.
hello, darling. The water, the love, and spirit of God. Godfrey and his
Yes.
wife, they got baptized together.
Wait
And
a
he
minute. Wait a
proposed to
minute.
her. Yes, and he proposed to her. It was their anniversary. Happy anniversary, Godfrey and Erica. Love
Y'all
it, love
trying
it,
to
love
tear
it.
Tucker up.
I know. Oh, he said, hello, family. Greetings from sunny, beautiful. I was in Africa for business. Oh, King Joseph, you got to tell us about it. What part of Africa were you in? I'm telling you, I've only been to South Africa, and
Wow.
I love, love, love South Africa. But they do have some stuff going on there in their like third or fourth round of COVID. And they're also having some political things going on. So let's pray for them. And also, if you
Yes.
follow me, you'll see me posting a couple of things about that. So where we can help out. Yes, God is great. I love it. Linwood Rogers, love it, baby. That's my daddy.
Come on,
So
Daddy.
yeah, I know. Okay, so that's enough about me. You guys, thank you so much. We are going to get into the conversation. But Marty, what are you grateful for, my friend?
I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to be a father all over again. Now, so my bonus child with Miss Tony, I am grateful that we start kindergarten this week. We started on Tuesday. And so we got uniforms all together. We got school supplies. She's so excited. And God showed favor on us that one of her teachers that is in the preschool is now been promoted into the elementary school. And she's her kindergarten teacher all over again. And so I'm just so excited and grateful to God, and then grateful my spoiled older children. God has blessed them to get. We have bought two brand new, a 2021 car and a 2022. So God is still so gracious. So we are so excited in the Sellers family for how gracious God has shown so much favor on us. So I'm just grateful for the favor of God.
We're family. So I
Yes.
mean, well, if we're giving away 2021s and 2022 cars, I'm
Wait.
very acceptant of. I would gladly take one since we've given out cars. I just thought
Listen,
maybe
I'm not Oprah Winfrey or
you
anyone
get a
else.
car. You get a car. You get a car. Yes, I love it. I love
Yes,
it.
yes.
King Joseph said, "I'm grateful for the grace of God working in my life." We are
Yes.
grateful too. You guys, let us know what you're grateful for in the
Amen.
comments. One of the other things I want to make sure is that you are a part of our text community. One of the things that I am true believer in community. I saw it today. I see it all the time in this community. I think I said it last week. In this community alone, me and Marty, I had the great opportunity to be part of Voya and a program that they were doing in this community. Someone in this community, Marty, John Henry, they got an opportunity to be
Yes.
on a panel
Yes.
and talking about, I think it was Black history, Black men, Black health, Black mental health. They got the opportunity to do that. I've also been able to meet so many people. We've been able to connect people just in this community.
Yes.
In this community.
Yes.
That's why community is so important, because you never know who knows somebody who knows somebody. Also, every now and then, you just need a little encouragement.
Amen.
And so join our text community. Text the word impact to 404-737-0867. You'll know when a show is going live. We also send inspirational texts, as well as I don't know if you guys know, but a lot of things that I do is I help organizations and individuals make their goals and their visions come to life with plan of action. So with tools to give you the tools to make your plan of actions clear. And so some of that stuff I put in text that you get it for free, that people pay for. You guys get it for free. So join this community. It is text the word impact to 404-737-0867 and join us. So Marty, listen, we have somebody on. I want to jump into this COVID-19.
Yes.
And listen, I ain't asked her yet, but I'm going to ask her. But you know me, I'm just going to put it out here because then
Right.
when people hear her, they're going to love her so much and want her to come on because
Yes.
she is an OBGYN. And
Yes, she
listen,
is.
Dr. McKinney, we got all of the kinds of women on here. We need to talk premenopausal, menopause. We need to talk sex. We need to talk cycles. We got all kind of stuff going on. And so we want to make sure that we invite her back. We want her to come
Yes.
back. So you guys show love. Marty is going to introduce our next guest, and she is really going to talk about, though she's an OBGYN, she is fully educated and
Yes, she
understands
is.
what's going on with COVID-19. I have listened to Marty's show, The Doctors, and she was
Yes.
on, and she was getting us all the way together. At that point, I was not ready for the vaccine. And one of the and I didn't believe they were putting anything in the vaccine, but listening to her was one of the reasons that over the course of the months that I have decided to get the vaccine. But it was listening and hearing the information
Yes.
that she was sharing. And then when I got sick and I thought it was COVID, I just could not put my family at risk. It is a personal decision, but I think it's important that we have all the information that we need. And she is able to do that and bring that to us. So Marty, I want you to introduce our
Yes.
special guest.
Yes, so excited to have Dr. McKinney on the show. She is just a person knowledgeable. Oftentimes, when we look at the disparity in mental health and physical health and wellness, one of the disparities is lack of knowledge and lack of information, lack of exposure, and lack of access.
Come
Well,
on.
Dr. McKinney is one of those ones who gives to her community. She goes above and beyond the call of duty because she wants our community to know from an expert. Now, hear me when I say this, from an expert, not from Pookie, not from Ray Ray, not from Aunt Sally, all that. We understand. Now, we know some of these home remedies did work, but we're not going to tell you to eat some Vicks or get you
Right,
you know how we do. But
Yes.
she comes because she has a heart for the community. I love that she's in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Glad to have her as one of the co-hosts with us on the Doctor's Show that she comes on with me on Wednesdays. But she is just a dynamic, down-to-earth, honest to God, going to shoot straight from the hip and going to tell you the truth. So we're so glad to have on the Wake Up Well Show with us none other than Dr. McKinney.
Well,
Yes.
hello. How are you guys?
Good,
Wonderful.
Dr.
Pleasure to
McKinney.
be here. Pleasure to be here.
Let me tell you, I can't remember which show it was, but someone had asked about the vaccine, and they asked about were they putting like metals in it,
And
to like
chips.
chips, and she was like, "That is not molecularly right or something." I was like, "You better get them," and I was like, "I like that," and I asked Marty, I said, "Who is she? Who is the real sassy?" I said, "Who is the sassy one?" That's the one. I liked her. Honestly, I liked all of them. To see three Black women on a
Yes.
show and were educated and just really giving information, I loved it. I loved to see it. But I just remembered that you were spicy. My husband be like, I give him problems. And I felt like, you know what? She could be my friend in my head because she looks like she'll be giving me some problems. But I like it. Dr. McKinney, thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm grateful to be here. Very
Whenever
grateful to
we
be
have
here.
someone on the show, we always ask what you're grateful for. Once you answer that, we're going to get right into
Oh
the
my
discussion.
goodness. I feel like I have so much to be grateful for. I'm grateful for waking up this morning. I'm grateful for still having my right mind because people seem to be trying to make me take me out of my mind.
Come on.
I'm grateful for the health of my children, my family. I'm grateful for waking up and still having all of my brothers and sisters with me. I'm grateful for the community that we live in, that we are trying to make better. I'm grateful for God giving the opportunity to tell people how we can make life better. I'm grateful for the opportunity to register
Come
another
on.
voter. I'm grateful for being able to tell people how one vote counts and how we can do something to make our situation better, how being oppressed doesn't mean you have to stay that way. I'm impressed and grateful about everything. So I could keep going. I'm just excited about a new day.
I
Dr.
love
McKinney
it.
gonna make you shout.
I love it. I love it. So one of the things, Dr. McKinney, I don't know if you know, when Marty and I first met, the way we met is because I felt like we needed a show. I had another physician that's at our church, and he came on, and he would give us stats and really talk about COVID-19. And I said, well, you know what? I love that, but I want to get the
Thank you,
mental health
Paula.
I want to get the mental health aspect as well. And so that's where I met Marty. But now we stopped that, not stopped it, but we kind of
Second.
we kind of went into another show where we wanted to talk about holistically wellness for our minds, bodies, and health. So we have different topics. But I think we're at a point where we need to talk about this again,
Yes.
and just kind of looking at the statistics and the rates and the Delta variant. So the first thing I really want to talk about, one, what is the Delta variant? I think
That's
it's
good.
important that we have an understanding of what it is.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go back to when we talked about Dr. Fauci saying herd immunity. Herd immunity occurs when you have more of the population that is vaccinated than a population that is unvaccinated. So that means that there are less people to be able to become infected with the virus, and therefore less opportunity for mutations to occur. If you understand anything about a virus, you know viruses change with each season every 6 months or so. So during this pandemic, the goal originally was to rapidly get people across the world to be able to be vaccinated so that we would have less of a chance to have more variants. So ideally, in a perfect world, if you had 60 to 70% of the world's population, or majority of the United States, Great Britain, and other powerful countries to be vaccinated, you had less of a chance of variants. So that was the biggest rush to try to create a vaccine that would treat this disease and give you a 95 to 94% protection against COVID-19, the original variant. Because we had such a significantly poor outturn, and we made a disease a political decision, just like people trying to govern someone else's uterus, we ended up with this variant, this Delta variant, and there's more variants, but Delta variant is the one that is the strongest currently, and it affects children. So when you think about why we have the variants, it's because we have more of the population unvaccinated. So even the vaccinated now are also getting COVID again. So the 96% is protective, but we have to be careful because even though you get COVID, the vaccinated are not dying. I can about guarantee that anybody that gets put on a vent with this Delta variant will most likely succumb. They are not coming off the vent. Children are out now on vents. Children are being sent to hospitals. They're airlifting babies as young as 16 months. And so when we start saying my body, my choice, you're making a choice for everyone else as well. So I'm not telling anybody to get the vaccine. I'm just telling you that if we're truly a society of Christian and Christ-like belief, we have to think outside of the me and think of the we. So if you want to protect not just your children, and you want to protect your neighbor's children or someone you don't know's child, then consider getting the vaccine, because I can't even express how frustrating it is and how impactful it is on providing care. I personally had a patient that I was on call, and she had abnormal liver functions. I couldn't figure out what to do for her. I delivered her baby at 28 weeks, couldn't get her well, tried to send her out. It took me 4 days to get her out of my area, not because there was no area that could take her. It was only because COVID had overwhelmed every hospital from my area up to Shreveport to Houston, all the way to New Orleans. And I finally got her out 4 days later. But because COVID is taking over all these beds, there are people that could survive other illnesses that are dying. You just don't have the capacity for it. If all your ICU beds are full with COVID patients, then how are you going to get the person in who had a stroke or had a heart attack, who had something else? You're not. It's not available.
Dr. McKinney, you're bringing up something. I mean, there's so many good points in here and so many questions that I have. But I think it feels like when the numbers were extremely high and we were seeing everything, we were hearing a lot of that. And we understood, like, okay, COVID is crazy. Like, these beds are being taken up, and other people that have other things going on, they're not able to have these surgeries. They're not able to be seen. But it seems like when the world opened up, we did not hear that. So it almost felt like, oh, well,
Let's go back to
hospital
normal.
hospitals are fine, like they're not overrun. But now hearing you talk about it, it's almost like, no, 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 let's not forget that we still have these people that are on ventilators, still have these COVID wards, still have these hospitals that are at capacity and cannot take care of other sicknesses or other disease in other patients.
Right. But see, what we're getting confused is initially when we were locked down, quote unquote, locked down, our numbers did drop. If you think about look what happened in New York, the numbers went down considerably in New York. You had other hot spots like in California that went down. Texas was better. Louisiana, but if you remember, New Orleans was on fire. There were so many people, so many deaths that they couldn't, handle the number of deaths. So it was a very tragic time in those cities, those states. The numbers went down drastically because people were quarantining, they were restricting, they were 6 feet apart, they were wearing masks. But the idea of the country that is trying to sequester again, this country I don't think could sustain it again, and most people wouldn't do it. So we're trying to avoid that, but the numbers are going back up. If you recall, maybe 2 weeks ago, Louisiana was number one in new COVID cases. So that the only person that could be smart enough to bypass us was Florida, because they're not doing anything. They're avoiding vaccine passports. They don't want schools to require masks. So it'll be interesting to see how many children are affected if they go according to what Governor DeSantis is trying to do, which I don't understand. But majority of the people telling you it's your choice and not giving you things to protect you are also vaccinated. So when you look at your state and federal legislators that are telling you don't do stuff, the majority of them are vaccinated. Like in my state, 16% of Hispanic population is vaccinated, 33% of African Americans are vaccinated, and 57% of white or European people are in the state of Louisiana is vaccinated. In my area, Region 5, Lake Charles area, Calcasieu Parish, we have the worst vaccination percentage. I think it's around 26%, which we are having a problem. So if we only have 26% vaccinated, that was the latest literature that I looked up. We're interested to see if we can get more people vaccinated. But I think it's interesting to say that see that amongst the people of color, such low numbers. And that's interesting. I think it's mostly driven by our young population and not necessarily by the elderly. The elderly, the ones who are not as healthy, are getting the vaccine, but the people who are younger are not. And you have to understand why they're doing that. And I've listened to some of the Facebook, TikTok, Instagram answers, and if you're actually doing true research and not looking at a blog on Facebook or a blog on YouTube and actually doing a literature search with a peer review,
you
will not be spouting such utter foolishness. So.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, Dr. McKinney, right? Everybody doesn't have you. And so that's why it's so important to have you and your colleagues and people who are really giving this information about what the vaccine looks like. For me, when COVID was happening and all of these things had happened, I had done clinical trials before in dialysis patients. And for me, I know how long those clinical trials take. I know how much data is put in. And so when this came out really quickly and everything that was going on, I kind of associated with that and was like, I've known to do clinical trials, and even in all that, you still have this subset of the population that does not do well. And for me, my husband has underlying, he has lupus. And so when the vaccine came out, he was ready to go, and he was like, you should get it. And I was like, I'm not ready. And so for me, I am not going to lie that I said, I'm 41, but I felt like I'm healthy. So if I would rather take my chance and get it, because not like the Delta, but when it was just, regular, I was like, I could probably beat the regular COVID, and honestly, just thinking like I'm healthy, so I probably have a better chance of making it out, right? And so I was willing to take my chances. It wasn't until I really started looking at the Delta variant that I started looking at, I cannot. I have a 13-year-old. How old is my daughter? Is she 14?
Yes.
She's 14, but I have a 7-year-old, and so I got sick, and it was a sinus infection, but it was terrible. Like, it was bad. I thought I had COVID. I mean, I went to go take a test, got another test, and they came out negative. But I thought to myself, what if I give this to my son and I didn't do everything that I needed to do? That was the thing that changed my mind. But how do we educate people that, this isn't the Tuskegee Airmen experiment? This isn't an experiment on the Black community. And especially when you hear that some of the research was done in Africa and they were some of the first, when you hear all of this stuff. So I know as far as the Black community, it's scary. But how do we get this information out so people know what's really going on? Like, no, there's no metals in it. We laugh about it, but it's so crazy, the conspiracy theories and everything that's going around. How do we combat that?
So you hit on a couple of really good points. So think about a capitalist society, correct? Mm-hmm. We're all about the business of making money. So when you think of other vaccines, let's use HIV. We've never come up with a vaccine to cure HIV. But where's the money in HIV treatment? Treatment, right? Not cure. So you had a worldwide epidemic with HIV. And to be honest, people thought it only affected people of color and people of the LGBTQI community. So then you draw back and you say, okay, how many people will actually contract this? Do I make money off of treatment or cure? So that's where the focus went, in treatment, not curing it. So you have people that are living longer and longer and longer. But if this was something that was worldwide and more affecting all comers, maybe the industry would have put more emphasis on treating and curing rather than treating it. So when people say, oh, they don't have a cure for HIV, well, it's not profitable to do that. They can give you treatment. So people are living longer and longer and longer with HIV, and so they don't need to come up with a cure. But now you have a worldwide pandemic where everyone in the world that's in research is studying. So there are vaccines that can be created in 3 to 6 months. They've done it.
Wow.
So the idea that there aren't vaccines that can be done that way is not true. The studies and the emphasis and the energy was put on because it was a global pandemic. What effort would you put into doing that? So they put all their effort into using the messenger RNA. And before people start thinking it gets into your DNA, stop. Quit that now. It's not going to do. It's not.
But Dr.
Messenger
McKinney,
RNA creates protein. It doesn't alter your DNA, and you're not got metal chips. Come on, y'all.
But Dr. McKinney, I know on our show, you had talked about how this was, already in development from some of the other viruses. So this wasn't 100% brand new. That we're already doing a lot of the studies, and so we adapted it already. So we had 5-7 years worth of study already that we adapted to make this more relevant for what was going on now. And I think that's what a lot of people, you've helped me educate even my patients about that. So thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, people want to say, oh, COVID, this is not new. COVID has been around forever. Yes, if you look on the Lysol bottle, it does say that this protects against COVID. You know why they have the 19? Because it's not the first one. It came around before then. So they gave a number for a reason. Just like every year we get a new flu. The flu vaccine is only there to help prevent, and we take it on a regular basis. So the flu vaccine is the last year's two most common variants to help protect you from getting the flu. People don't take into account how many people die from the flu every year, and people say, "Oh, nobody dies from the flu," but yes, they do. Every vaccine was created for a huge population that was dying from some illness, whether it had been smallpox, polio. We don't have polio and smallpox because of a vaccine.
Vaccination. That's so good. So I want to make sure that we answer Paula's question.
I
She
saw
said,
it flash earlier. Okay, the difference between the symptoms. The symptoms are basically the same. You can have they're variable. They're upper respiratory symptoms, there's shortness of breath, loss of taste, loss of smell. Most common symptoms are flu-like symptoms. They just persist. You get shortness of breath, and it goes down the gamut. So the same things that you have, the symptoms are the same. The effect on the body is different. There were very few children ever infected with COVID under the original variant.
Right.
We didn't have to. That's why we didn't rush to give a vaccine for children. We were basically focusing on the adults who were most affected by the COVID vaccine. COVID disease, COVID-19. Right. Now the Delta variant takes all comers. She came to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and she ain't out of bubblegum. So she is doing the doggone thing. So she's taking children under the age of 12. Right. She's taking babies. So those are the ones that are affected. The elderly are affected, and even the vaccinated are affected. They're just not being placed on ventilators. They are getting sick, but not to the degree that unvaccinated are, and they're not being put on ventilators. But 100% of people who are unvaccinated are being hospitalized and placed on the vent. And the majority of those who are on the vent are not coming off, not alive.
Wow.
That's a lot. It's a lot to take in and just to think about. We did decide to get my daughter vaccinated because she's old enough to get vaccinated. And here in Georgia, in the county that we are, our kids started back. And so just thinking about that and her going back to school and making sure that she's as safe as possible. But one of the things that I think I read somewhere, and it was saying how like I think maybe 75%. I could be wrong, so just correct me if I am. But it was like 75% of the carriers of that Delta virus are vaccinated people. So is it that they're carrying it and they're just giving it to unvaccinated people, or?
Where'd you read that one? I missed that one.
That's why I may have heard. I know I did read it. No, I read it in like a news source. It wasn't like TikTok, I promise. But but just trying to understand.
Well, was it Fox News?
I don't want to say it was the opposite of it was the opposite of Fox.
Okay, so I haven't read that, so I'd have to look at it because the majority of the people who are getting the Delta variant. Now, just say this: there are a lot of people who are vaccinated who are getting the Delta variant. But the Delta variant was created by the unvaccinated, so the variant came about from that. So if you're saying they're having a dormant of the Delta variant came because of their unvaccinated people, not because of the people who are vaccinated.
Mouth hit floor. Right. Drop the mic.
Right.
So now we may have it. The vaccinated may still be exposed to it and have the virus, but you're not going to be as sick as the people who are unvaccinated. And the mutation occurred because of the unvaccinated population. Now, where some may not have been, you can be a vector that's not feeling sick and still infect multiple people. So
there you go. And I think that's one of the misconceptions.
Yeah. Yes. You can be, there were people who had weddings and who had funerals, and you looked up and they had wiped out so many people of one family during the original COVID-19. So those people would not have gone to the funeral had they felt sick. They would not have gone to the wedding if they felt sick. Right. So they were asymptomatic vectors that then spread to other people in their family. Same is happening with the Delta variant. And if I am vaccinated and I am exposed to it and I'm around other people who are not vaccinated, of course you're going to get it.
Yeah. So we have another question, and Rosetta said, if you are vaccinated, can you still spread the virus?
Yes, yes. If you contract the virus, and yes, because this is a mutated virus, you're not getting you're not passing the virus from the vaccine. The
Mm-hmm.
vaccine is not a live virus.
Hmm.
It's not. It is a messenger RNA that produces a protein that helps your body respond to the actual viral particle protein on the outside of the actual virus. So you develop
Nice.
antibodies to the actual virus. So that vaccine itself is not making you spread it. But can you still get COVID Delta variant? Yes. And can you spread that to others? Yes. That's why we're encouraging everybody to get vaccinated.
And I think it also speaks to, can you speak to why it's still important for us to continue to wear our masks out in public? And when we go into, especially, I trust some folks, but I'm sitting on the front row at church still with my mask on.
Right. Well, if you listen to what the CDC and Dr. Fauci said, they said at first okay, so we went to, it's an ever changing dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing stays the same. So you have
Right.
to pivot every time something new happens. So to get people out and feel better for the numbers dropping, the reward was if you are a vaccinated individual,
Right.
you do not have to wear a mask. However, people are not as honest and they don't care. So they will wear a mask and not wear a mask, even though they're fully not vaccinated and
Mm-hmm.
they act as if they are. So you can't trust that everyone not wearing a mask is vaccinated.
Is
Hence,
vaccinated.
we got the Delta variant, and I think there's a Lambda one coming around the corner too. So you have all of these variants created by people who won't wear masks. Now we're back to the situation where everybody, regardless of your vaccination status, is to wear a mask. And nobody's trying to force that anymore because people's behavior is so abhorrent. It's just
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous. You get in fights on airplanes,
Yep.
people screaming in grocery stores. It's just not
It's
what.
ridiculous.
Right.
Mhm,
It is. You know,
mhm.
when we went, it was funny because when we went to St. Lucia, and I love this, I think they did it because obviously, I think one of the things is this, we are like spoiled children, honestly, in the US, right? And so honestly, we are like so
We
spoiled.
are.
We have enough vaccines that we need, right? We have it. If we want to go, for me, I was like, hey, I didn't want to go then. But when I was ready to go, I had no problem picking the one I wanted to get, going to the one closest to my house, getting it on the date and times. It was so
Mm-hmm.
readily available. But then I talked to my partners at Caring for Girls in South Africa that they cannot get it. And they are on their third and fourth wave of
Jesus.
COVID. And so we don't realize that in the US. And I say
We're
that
so
because in
blessed.
St. Lucia, the same thing is that when you went to St. Lucia, let me tell you what they did. When you went through the airport, you had to show your vaccine card,
Mm-hmm.
vaccination card. If you did not have, if you had a card, you got a white thing that said that everybody knew you were fully vaccinated. If you were not, you had this little hot pink. You are not fully vaccinated, and that meant that you had to stay on the resort where you were. But people knew because they understood it. So the thing is, if you were, and they were very clear about dining, if you got up from your table, you had to wear a mask. And the funny thing is, people listened and people did it.
Wow.
And so I just feel like here in America it's so easy because we're spoiled. So we're like, oh, well, we're going to do what we want to. But I think when you do look and you see somebody, your neighbor is sick, is going through this, I would hope that we would just think about this differently. And obviously, the vaccine is your choice. For me, when I was not, I could promise you, I went to a birthday party. I wore my mask the whole time. There were other people that were there. They were fully vaccinated or not, and they didn't wear a mask. For me though, because I want to make sure that I'm protecting those people. And you had to have a negative PCR test too as well to go.
Right,
But
right.
yeah, I think one of the things that I wanted to ask was, as we're going into, and for me, this was a question for me. I guess you can see you're answering all my questions, but these are some of the things that I also heard
My
from people
pleasure.
too, is that, at first it was the vaccine is good for 6 months. So if I got it in January, then in July my 6 months was up. But how long really is it? Are we
That's
protected as vaccinated individuals?
Well, that is still up for debate. The issue, though, is the variants. We can get a booster for that. It doesn't mean like COVID-19 may never go away in the original form or in the new variants. There'll probably be additional variants as we go on. So your body has already built up an immunity for that one. But booster is for the what's coming down the pike now. So there's nothing saying that your body won't. That's like saying we had to get 3 series of shots for the hepatitis B vaccine. You had to get MMR twice, but so far apart. You had to get varicella once. So I'm not sure what the significance, why people think that it's going to be gone in 6 months. I don't know of a vaccine that wanes in 6 months. So the idea that you may need a booster, and mine was given more than 6 months ago, I haven't heard any data or any request by any medical entity or the Louisiana State governing board to indicate that we needed a booster. So the data is still being looked at about the booster shot. And so if there's a need for one, that should be coming. So for most of us got either the Pfizer or I think the Moderna was 2 shots. No, Johnson & Johnson was 2 shots, right?
No, Johnson was one.
Johnson is
okay, Moderna and Pfizer required 2 injections. So I don't think that your body is going to suddenly at 6 months say, I'm going to give up the ghost. I'm not going to protect you anymore. I think that it is, I think it's still going on. I think your immunity is still as it is. If you're immunocompromised, there were things you had to do. You had to stop taking your immunosuppressive agents, wait 2 weeks and then get your injection. You had to complete your cycle before you start on your immunosuppressant. So people who had things like lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, cancer patients, all of them had to stop their treatment just to get the vaccine if they desired to. But you touched on an issue about us being spoiled.
Yes.
There is a horrible situation in countries like Africa, India, Pakistan, that we have vaccines in the thousands that are being expired and wasted.
Yes.
When we could be sending them to other countries.
Yep.
We bet billions of doses of vaccine that you're not going to use. And states like any state in the United States, but specifically in the Southern Belt, that are not using them, we should be sending them before they expire to other countries so that they can get vaccinated. And we're not. So that's something totally different, not just spoiled. I can think of other adjectives, but it's not spoiled. So we should be trying to do a little bit better. If we're calling ourselves a Christian community, then we should be Christ-like and not be like
Come
this.
on.
Yeah, I love that. It's so fun. You are just dropping gems here because it is
she
true.
is.
Like we are so used to, I think you said the MMR, like we get it, we have to get it again. I know I vaccinate my children, so I've known that like, oh, they got to get this booster shot again. And I think I never thought about, oh, they already get boosters or, oh, we've already had boosters, right? And so I think it's just this fear of the vaccine, of not having the information. So thank you for giving us that information. Go ahead, Marty.
By the same token, even to get into school, they want to know we've been doing this our whole lives, vaccinations.
We have.
So we freak out over this. This is just an additional vaccination that we have to do. I know before even enrolling Tony, she starts kindergarten Tuesday. Thank you, Jesus. I had to show them my updated vaccination record of her. And then at certain ages, she's still got to continue. We do it all the time. I just do it automatically now, just because though I'm healthy, I got to also realize I'm in the 50+ category. My body is not producing everything like it used to when I was in my 20s. And so I need a little help. Come on, Holy Ghost, to get me through some stuff.
Well, people want to, we get so fixated on what one station says and one person says, or one blogger says, or what one site says, and then you get to these things about just because you spend time in medical school doesn't mean you know everything. And I'm like, Okay, so
But I know a lot.
well, you've got people in Congress who are arguing with Dr. Fauci, calling him a liar. That makes other people come to your office and
Yes.
challenge you again on something
Yes.
that they saw on social media. So the level of disrespect and disinformation combined is making for a dangerous combination. So even if I give you data, you're going to tell me my data is skewed when maybe it's your data that's skewed or your opinion that's skewed. So we've always had government tell us something that was to protect us. How many of you all have a state or federally mandated seatbelt law? That was to protect you. Speed limit. Back in the day, Marty, you remember we didn't have a speed limit that we have currently. It was like 85.
Yes,
and you didn't have seatbelts back in the 60s, early 60s. There were no seatbelts.
We didn't have car seats.
Exactly. You had to get kids to put a seatbelt in, and they gave you these car seats that couldn't protect a squirrel from nothing. And but that's what we had. And you had to do, that's what the mandates, because you saw the data studies, controlled groups that showed us the death rate when you didn't decrease the speed rate, the death rate when you didn't have protections, the death rate when you didn't have a seatbelt, the death rate when you didn't have airbags. So it's an evolution. So here we go with getting into a public school. You have to have a vaccine card. Remember when they were that yellow thing you used to have to open up and had all the vaccines, and you got it from your pediatrician?
It's still there.
Oh, okay. Well, mine are older. My kids are older. So you still have to show proof. Now it's digital. It's on the state data bank. So you have immunization records. We're just making this because we listen to Tucker Carlson's foolishness that says that that you have to, that this is something different. It's not. It's not. You had to get oral polio vaccination so that you didn't have a resurgence of polio. That's a vaccine. Yes. And you can't go to school without it. If you don't get the pneumococcal vaccine, you cannot live on campus and go to college. That's a vaccine. You can't go on campus without the chickenpox vaccine, because who wants to have the whole campus break out with chickenpox? That's a vaccine. Right. So what are we talking about here?
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I think there was just so much going on. I think COVID kind of just everything that was going on, right? And just trying to figure, yes, exactly, everything. And so I think people were just trying to find their footing. And you are right. There were so many people giving this false information, and people even now, like, with Dr. Fauci, but even the way we do stuff has changed, right? When everything happened with the pandemic, I was still Instacarting because your girl don't do the grocery shopping. But anyway, another topic, another subject. But when the Instacart was coming in, I was wiping down everything right in the middle of the pandemic. Remember, Marty? I was not ordering out. I was making all my food. Doc was like, "You can order out." I was like, "Nope, I won't." But I changed it, right? As things happen, I changed it. Oh, as we do this, I'm going to take care of this. And so I think you made a great point about as we get more information. Let's go back to the AIDS epidemic. I was very young during the AIDS epidemic when it was like huge. But I remember at first it was, oh, don't drink behind them. Don't eat off of any of the utensils off of them because you can get it. And then there was more research and we found that, okay, that's not it. You can't have sex, share needles. There can't be that bodily fluid, right? Thing. And so it changes as we get research. And for me, I never gave information that, I didn't think the vaccine was safe. Anybody will ask you, anytime they ask me, I said, I believe that the vaccine is efficient. I believe that it's safe. But for me, I just got to get there. And it came with research and it came with understanding what that looks like. So I think if we just stay in our bubbles and we don't realize, and honestly, the stuff you're saying is literally common sense. It literally is. And so I never fought about like, oh, this and this, because you do. My kids needed vaccines to get into school. They needed to go wherever they're going. So just thank you for that. But that is so true, is that we've been doing this for so long. But I think that everything that was going on with COVID, it just escalated everything. It just really blew blew every stuff out of proportion, and then it became a political game.
Very much so.
So Trisha said, as adults working for a federal program, we all had to prove our childhood vaccinations and obtain boosters for the vaccines we had low or no immunity to any longer. It's not a rights issue; it's protection. Absolutely. John said, I am lupus diagnosed and was not encouraged to stop my daily hydroxychloroquine for the 2 weeks prior to my vaccination. That was in early March. Is stopping the meds standard guidance?
So I think you have to check with your endocrinologist or whoever is managing your condition. Me personally, I was recently diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, so I take a medicine that is also considered a chemotherapeutic agent and makes your immune system worse. So for me and for other people that I know, patients that I know, we had to stop our medication. Mine was methotrexate, and I had to stop it for 2 weeks before I began taking the shot. So I had to stop it immediately, then wait for the shot, and then take my series and complete it. And then 2 weeks after I completed the last shot, I can start my medicine again. So each person is different. Your scenario is different. Hydroxychloroquine was being touted by 45 as a cure for it. And so there probably was no reason for you to stop it since you were already on it. And we already know that that wasn't true. Like injecting yourself with bleach wasn't a good idea either.
Lord help us.
So hydroxychloroquine is great for lupus patients. And if you'll remember, some people had a hard time getting access to that when they all start buying it and using it for prevention of something that it didn't work for. So
that's right. I remember that. So funny that it happened. So his physician, actually what he did when that happened, we didn't even know he did it, but what he did was he put in I think it was 90 or 121 day prescription for it, just to make sure that he had it. It was when all that stuff was going on. So he kind of preempted that and did that. I know we are getting low on time, and Dr. McKinney, I can't even believe the time is gone.
It's gone by way too fast.
I know, but I do want to get this question in about children that can't be vaccinated. It's probably it's probably just regular stuff that we already know. But how do we keep these children safe as they are going back to school, and the ones that cannot be vaccinated or not vaccinated?
So still, I don't think children under the age of 12 can be vaccinated. So that means that for all of those children, they should remain in a mask. And I know if you're of a small age, it's difficult for them to stay in a mask. It's going to be a personal decision with each family. You have to make that choice for you and your family. But masking is best. Trying to stay distanced as much as possible is also a good option. And just doing the best you can to keep everything as sterile and clean as possible. So I'm going to be praying for a lot of people who have small children, trying to get them back into the school system. Do your own due diligence, not a blog. Look at the literature, talk to your pediatrician, do whatever they think is best for you and your family, and follow it closely, because there's going to be other studies that are coming out with children in it. You're going to be able to find out what's going to be available for you and your family, and I think you should do what's best for you.
Absolutely.
I did want to also mention, if you have a state that has something like LA Wallet, it gives you our driver's license is digital. At the bottom, it gives us our COVID vaccination status. So you can see that each individual is vaccinated. If each state does this, then you can avoid the people who don't wear masks, that don't get vaccinated, because you can still see that each person is vaccinated by using that.
Come on, Louisiana.
Wow.
Yeah, we still at the bottom. We still at the bottom.
We knew about the digital. We don't have the digital.
We don't
ID
have that in
yet.
Cali either. I don't
We
think.
don't have it either. But
y'all ahead of it. Real quick, what I was saying, what I've learned is with Tony, we all wear it. So it's become a part of her, which I hate to say, her routine. She knows not to go out the house or we're going to the store. Daddy wears my mask and everything. And I'm going to get we're going to bling out a shield for her as well. So she have a mask and a shield, and really make that be a part of her uniform, if you will, and make it fun. And I think when you make it a fun type of game like that, the children don't mind wearing those type of things.
And tell her, don't feel uncomfortable if somebody else is not wearing theirs. Just keep yours on.
Yes.
That's
Be a leader, not a follower.
That's so good.
Yes.
Maddox is like that too. Like he's very good. He's older than Tony. He's 7, but he's really good with putting on his mask, keeping his mask. He is not playing around with COVID. You hear me? He's like, mm-mm. So it's so funny. Val said we have to have Dr. McKinney back. I was thinking the same thing,
Yes.
girl. We have to have her back. Nicole said, "Dang, I'm late. Gotta catch the replay." Yes, Nicole was so good. John said,
Yes.
"Science matters." SCIENCE. He loves science. Dr. McKinney, don't gas his head up. So Paula does have a question. I have 2 kids getting ready to leave for college. They are both vaccinated. What happens if their roommates or people they come in close contact with are not? Should they wear a mask the whole time they are in their residence halls?
Okay, so I'm not sure what each college is doing. I can tell you what my alma mater, where my daughter Spelman College, shout out, got to do that, So my daughter is my legacy. So they accepted a huge amount of freshmen, but I think I know for sure you're required to be vaccinated to live on campus. Pre-pandemic, in order to live on campus, you had to be vaccinated. So I suspect the same is true for a pandemic. So most of the upperclassmen, so your freshmen, should actually be in a campus room with someone that's vaccinated. That's a question you can ask the school. It should have been something that came out. But I know for Spelman, Morehouse, Clark, and Clark Atlanta, and Morris Brown, you had to be vaccinated to live on campus, and they gave priority to freshmen. So the upperclassmen, juniors, seniors, I had to get apartments. That's what we're dealing with now to get my youngest daughter apartment this week. Well, she has the apartment. We're moving her in it. So yes, ask your school, but they should be requiring vaccinations to live on campus. That's a problem if they don't.
And air purifiers are becoming very common too. You can order those on Amazon, and we have them throughout all of our
Somebody said Clark Atlanta.
Daryl went to Clark Atlanta.
So did my twin sisters and my younger brother. So we're Atlanta University Center group. My twin brother and I went to Morris and Spelman, and my younger siblings went to Clark Atlanta. So yeah.
That's awesome. So you said you were moving her in this week.
Yes, I leave Wednesday.
You gonna be in Atlanta? I'm in Atlanta. Yeah. I'm outside of Atlanta. How long are you gonna be here? Well, don't hang up. Don't hang up. Well, don't hang up. Sorry, guys. Don't hang up. But Marty, go ahead. What were you saying? I don't want to cut you off.
No. I say the air purifiers, those are wonderful additional tools as well. Every little bit helps. And I think when we do that, like I said, we put air purifiers in all of our offices in each of the supervisor's office and everyone, and a big one in the main room as well. And I think it's helping to take any type of the stigma, the fear, and everything away so it becomes common practice. And trust me, post-COVID, I'm still keeping my purifier on.
Smart to do so.
Mm-hmm. I love it. So you guys, it is 7:59. Wow. Oh my goodness, the time just flew by. Dr. McKinney, thank you so much for coming on. Listen, I knew I was gonna love you. I knew it. I knew you were gonna be a part of the show. People like, we gotta have you back. When you were on, you was like, girl, listen, I'm sorry, I need a minute. I was like, yes, you are my people. You are my people. So I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the show. I mean, it was just so good. I can't tell you, because if I was not already planning, I got my first vaccination. I got to get my second one. But if I had not gotten my first one, this would have made me get my first one. The information was incredible. You are a trusted source. And I won't lie that it was easy to hear from a Black woman to say these things. And so thank you, because I think sometimes when we hear the information from people outside of our community, it doesn't land well. But I want to thank you for your honesty. I want to thank you for your very candor. Thank you for your wit. And I hope that you will come back. But before you leave, if there's one thing that you can leave our audience with, what would you let them know?
It's okay to be afraid, but don't let fear stop you from what you need to do. All of us, including myself, was reticent about the vaccine. But take the time to go to reputable sources and look. If you and do the reading and research, talk to someone you trust in healthcare to give you an answer. And I'm not saying all of us in healthcare are trustworthy and going to tell you the truth. They may be biased by religion, maybe biased by politics. So do someone that you know will give you an answer and give you something to back it up with. If you want me to give you literature to review, I can try to do that too and post it for you. But try to follow the links. So there are other physicians that felt the same way. The vaccine was made too fast, but we stood back and we talked and we went over it. So you're not alone when you have reticence. We all
That's
did.
good.
But now we have information. It's a changing event, and when you continue to stay in the same place, you only hurt yourself. So get the information, be armed with information, and make smart decisions for you and your family.
I love that. And then, Dr. McKinney, how can we stay in touch with you?
Oh, what is my office number? Or you want?
Well, are you on Instagram? Are you on Facebook?
Oh, yeah,
I know you have I know you have a women's clinic, your website, anything. Girl,
Yes.
we are trying to have it all. You hear me? We are trying to get all the resources, all the information.
I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok, but I don't post. I just look.
You just look.
I just look. I answer stuff when people get a little crazy. I do say something like "child, stop." But I have Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter accounts. I just mostly.
You got to
Twitter.
tell us your handles, Dr. McKinney. What's
Girl,
your
I don't
Instagram?
even- Girl, 1 minute, please. Oh, Delta Doc is my Instagram. I have to go look at my own doggone Instagram.
Delta DOC.
Yep. So
that tells you she's a Delta.
Right.
right. Don't hate, appreciate.
That's right.
And then on Facebook, I use my regular name, Gisele McKinney Hawkins.
Okay.
Yeah.
Daryl, can you make a quick banner for that just so we can have it? And then
And can I give a shameless shout out for Dr. McKinney? Dr. McKinney, for those of you who have college students, this coming Wednesday on the Doctor's Show, Dr. McKinney is going to be talking about, now I'm not going to call it what Daryl called it, but we're going to be talking about sex, STDs, and just being safe on the college setting, because we know that there's so many STDs that come out in college because folks lose their mind for all the freedom. And so we want to equip our children with the right information about STDs and being safe in college, especially in a COVID and Delta variant time frame.
Absolutely.
Well, actually, STDs are way, way up. So just so you know, they've increased significantly. And when I was back in the early 2000s, we thought we were going to have syphilis beads.
Right.
We were on the precipice. We were on the precipice of getting rid of syphilis. And then the anti-vaxxers came, and then all the other stuff came.
Yep. Yep.
That's going to be a good show. So it is Wednesday. What time?
It is Wednesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So it's a late show for you on the East Coast. But it is so worth. If not, we're definitely going to be. Daryl and I will definitely do a repeat of it because this is such a powerful thing. We want to make sure that we equip our students not just with book knowledge, but also health and wellness knowledge as well, and how to be safe.
Absolutely. I love it. Dr. McKinney, thank you so much. Everybody wants you
Thank
back. I'm
you.
just putting it out there. I'm just putting it out there.
I'm happy to come back.
You guys, thank you so very much for joining the show. I appreciate it every time you take off an hour from your Sunday that you could be spending with family or doing something, Netflix and chill or whatever it is. I
Yes.
appreciate your time. So I want to make sure that we keep in touch. So I want you to text the word impact to join our community. So make sure that you are joining our community. Text the word impact to 404-737-0867. You guys know this is a professional show, but unfortunately, sometimes our resident guest comes on and you got a do-rag on, dude. Like, come on. We are a professional show.
We professional up in here, Bishop Pastor.
Did you enjoy the show?
I loved the show. Dr.
Awesome.
McKinney, I won't be here next week. Or is it this week, next week? Whenever you come. But whenever you come, we got to take you for coffee or something. It was
Okay,
a
well, I will
tremendous,
definitely touch with you.
tremendous show. Even though you made me
Yes.
nervous, I was about to go find a new physician. Had me on that hydroxychloroquine. All right, let me go on and go.
So you guys, Val said, hey, my pastor.
Hey, Val.
Paula said, thank you all. Daryl, too. Yes, Daryl, the Mac in the back. We love
Mac
him
in the
so
back.
very much. Godfrey,
Yeah.
great information. Paula said, hi, Pastor. So you guys know we don't end any show without this declaration. Waking up is automatic. Showing up is intentional. Today
I will
show
Show
up.
up.
See you next week.